Hey everybody, this is Rich. You're with South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. Today is July 1st. A week ago was June 21st. A little over a week ago was June 21st. And that's important because June 21st was the summer solstice, the longest day and the shortest night of the year. After June 21st, every day is going to get somewhat shorter than the day before. And there's going to come a point where that becomes important to the bees and they're paying attention to it. Couldn't tell you exactly what day it is, but we're going to kind of get there in just a minute. So I get my data from timeanddate.com. I can't recommend enough that you bookmark that site and that you study it a lot. It has lots to offer you. Moonrise, moon sets, and phases and all that, and the day and night times, and you can scroll through and see the whole year in pretty short order. So I want to go through this. On June 21st, sunrise was 6:29 a.m., sunset was 8:15 p.m., and the total day length was 13 hours, 46 minutes, and 31 seconds. All right? Today, July 1st, sun came up at 6:32. It's going to go down at 8:16. And it's going to be 13 hours, 44 minutes, and 49 seconds. Hey, Rich, if the longest day was July 20 or June 21st, rather, and that was 8:15, how come this number isn't smaller? I don't really know that. I'm not an astronomer. I just know that right after June 21st, the sunset went from 8:15 to 8:16, and it stays at 8:16 through the first 10 days of July 1st. But it's every day 2 to 3 seconds less than the day before, and then it starts going down. By July 31st, you start really noticing it. 6:29 versus 6:45 a.m. and 8:15 versus 8:07 p.m. 13 hours, 22 minutes, 2 seconds. Now, what prompted this was I went into the bee yard this morning to just check on the status of some honey supers, see how well they were doing. We'd had a couple of days with no rain, and the aroma coming out of the bee yard was wonderful. You know, you could smell them curing honey out there. And I wanted to see how things were going. And the interesting thing is, queen excluder's in place, but when I lifted the shim off the top, drones started escaping. And then bees started coming out with some dead drones and running off with them. And I'm like, oh my. So I took the super off. I'm sitting there looking. Now, I didn't have any dead drones stuck through the bars of the queen excluder. I've had that in the past sometimes. But I'm sitting there studying the excluder. I'm like, where is there a spot where these drones are getting through? And there wasn't. What was happening, because I watched it, was a young drone came up and squeezed himself through the excluder. I mean, head and thorax came out, and then he's like, to pop that abdomen through. But he wasn't nearly the size of the full-size ones that were going, oh my God, thank God, we're getting out of here, that came flying out to start with. So some of the drones, attracted by the honey, when they're young, were pushing their way through before their abdomens were fully firmed up and hardened off, and they were flexing enough to let them go through. That made me very happy because I was feeling very guilty there about, oh my goodness, what did I do? I didn't do anything. They did it themselves. So at any rate, the bees then started grabbing drones and hauling their butts out left and right. And that's the key to this whole thing. When the bees know that swarm time is pretty well done and that there's not going to be any more mating flights and such, they get rid of the drones. And everywhere in my bee yard, every time I go out there, because I keep bare earth and I can see what's going on, the bees are dragging the drones out. And this is happening right now. And boy, by July 31st, I don't know there's going to be any drones there. Now, that's right here where I am. And I'm out west, and I don't have a whole lot of forage going forward from this point. Now, Frank down in the South End, he's got like 150 royal palms that are all going to be blooming, each on their own schedule through the next couple of months. He may keep drones in his hives because there's a whole lot more nectar coming in, and there's a lot more possibility that they may want to swarm later on. I think the most important bee in the beehive is the bookkeeper bee, and they're vastly underrated. They're sitting there, checking on resources, checking on the inputs that are coming in and such. If they determine that, yeah, swarming's a distinct possibility, then they'll keep the drones. But if things start getting to be less and less coming in, then they're going to pull the plug on the drones and tell them to start boosting their butts out the door. That's what's happening, and that is first stimulated by what goes on right after June 21st, because at any point after that, it can start happening. Now, you might think that we're going way down here into August before it really starts happening a lot, but here it happens just fine like it is. So that's all I wanted to say, is that start watching for your drones to be getting boosted out of the hives, because the primary swarm season is now coming to an end. Yeah, we can get swarms 365 down here, but it's not as likely from this point going forward. And again, can't recommend enough the website timeanddate.com. It's got all kinds of information that you can find useful.
I have a question. So if your hives are kicking their drones out, now would not be the time to requeen.
I see your point. Well, no, it would not be the time to requeen with a virgin queen. If you want to go ahead and requeen with a mated queen, that's fine. And that's okay, but the heat of summer is not a great time to requeen. It's better here to wait till fall to requeen. Late October, early November is a lot better time. Unless, of course, you have a testy hive that needs to be requeened. You got to do that when you have to do that. That's all. But that's it. We're done. Can't recommend the timeanddate.com enough. It's a wonderful site with lots and lots of great information you can use. Just wanted to throw that out there because they were throwing the drones out this morning. Have a great day, everybody. Happy July 4th, and we'll see you next week.